The safety car restart crash that triggered the first red flag in the Tuscan Grand Prix can only be described as complete and utter carnage. Fortunately, no one was seriously injured, but the incident did highlight a lot of questions around the safety of the safety car restart. So what caused the accident, and who was to blame? Now, for those of you without your copy of the 2020 sporting regulations to hand, safety car restarts are covered in Article 39.13, and this explains the procedures of how we get back to racing. So when the clerk of the course decides it's safe to call in the safety car, the message, "Safety car in this lap," is sent to all teams via the official messaging system. At this point, the car's orange lights are turned out, and this is the signal to teams and drivers that it will be entering the pit lane at the end of that lap. At this point, the first car in line effectively becomes the safety car, and they then set the pace. And unlike when following the safety car, the lead car is allowed to fall more than 10 car lengths behind should they wish to do so. As the safety car is approaching the pit entry, the safety car boards are withdrawn, and as the leader approaches the line, a green flag is displayed and we go racing again. Drivers can't overtake the safety car until it heads into the pit entry, which is officially marked by what is known as Safety Car Line 1. Until a few years ago, drivers could start racing and passing each other at that safety car line, in other words, typically at the start of the pit entry. However, that was changed to the control line, or the circuit's official timing point, so in effect, it became a rolling start from the grid rather than from just beyond the final corner, but with no passing allowed until cars across the line. So what happened in Mugello? One criticism that quickly emerged from the drivers, including race winner Lewis Hamilton, was that the safety car lights went out very late, giving the drivers little warning that the restart was about to happen. However, the rules make no specific provision for how early or how late in the lap the lights should go out, and so the drivers are expected to use their experience to make allowances for any circumstances. Michael Massey, the race director, had no time for any suggestion from the drivers that the lights went out too late, saying they can criticise all they want, and pointed out that in the F3 race, the junior drivers had a very, very similar restart to what was occurring in the F1 race, and they managed to navigate it quite well and without incident. Shortly put, no. As is made clear in the regulations, the leader is entitled to set the pace and can decide when they want to accelerate. This was formally acknowledged by the FIA stewards on Sunday. In their decision to hand a warning to 12 drivers, they noted that the driver of car 77, Valtteri Bottas, and the other drivers involved in the restart not mentioned, complied with the regulations. Bottas stressed that he was only doing what any other race leader would have done, but like Hamilton, he did suggest that the lights had gone out late, meaning that he could only build a gap to defend his position pretty late on. He did acknowledge that he went late, but he did so from the control line and not before. Alex Albon, who was fourth in line, defended Bottas and pointed the blame back to the midfield cards who tried to second guess when Bottas was going to hit the gas. Massey acknowledged that the long straight at Mugello and relatively late location of the control line played a role in the circumstances of the accident, and mainly because, as the leader, Bottas knew that he would be vulnerable to being passed by Hamilton if his teammate got a good tow. Taking off as late as possible reduced the possibility of that happening. We've seen similar matters in Baku, with such a long run to the control line, where the leader, who has every right to dictate the pace, has kept it quite slow to try and avoid a slipstream from the cars behind. In the end, Massey puts it down to a number of factors, and there was no doubt that the long straight adds to that. But he also added that at the end of the day, you race to the line, and that's not a new regulation. Only 3 drivers were formally called to see the stewards after the race: Kevin Magnussen, Daniel Kvyat, and Nicholas Latifi. However, when their decision emerged, a total of 12 drivers were named and given a warning, those being Magnussen, Kvyat, Latifi, Albon, Norris, Stroll, Ricciardo, Perez, Ocon, Russell, Giovinazzi, and Sainz. The only drivers to escape sanction were the leading trio of Bottas, Hamilton, and Charles Leclerc, and the 3 that were at the very rear of the field: Romain Grosjean, Kimi Räikkönen, and Sebastian Vettel. The stewards found that the root cause of this incident was the inconsistent application of throttle and brake from the final corner along the pit straight. There's a key paragraph that covers this back in Article 39.13 that says, in order to avoid the likelihood of accidents before the safety car returns to the pits, from the point at which the lights on the car are turned out, drivers must proceed at a pace which involves no erratic acceleration or braking, nor any other manoeuvre which is likely to endanger other drivers or impede the restart. This is to avoid creating a concertina effect, where a driver speeds up only to slam on the brakes when they get too close to the car in front. The car behind them, seeing the initial takeoff, also speeds up before also slamming on the brakes when that car suddenly slows again. And so it goes on down the pack until someone ends up slamming into the back of another car, as we saw on Sunday. From his vantage point, Vettel made an interesting observation, saying that even from where he was running, it was erratic in terms of speeding up, slowing down, speeding up, and then everyone jumping on the brakes. The stewards noted that some drivers might have avoided being involved in the incident had they not followed directly behind the car in front. By doing so, they effectively blocked off all visibility of what was happening immediately in front of the preceding car. The 12 drivers named were given the relatively meaningless penalty of a warning, as no driver was found to be wholly or predominantly to blame. What are your opinions on the safety car restart situation? Do you believe it to be unsafe? Do you think it was the track's fault, or were the drivers just not paying enough attention? Let us know in the comments below, and make sure you subscribe for more videos.